Or log on to askairasia.com to get your
I am up here in North Malaysia, Penang, and it's one of my favorite temples in Southeast Asia. And as I mentioned earlier, I used to visit here quite a lot. And right at the front gates here, and as you can see it, it's Dhammi Karama Buddhist temple, and its origin is Burmese. And it's just absolutely stunning inside. And we're going to go inside in a short while, so you can see what I'm talking about. They have a 8-meter standing Buddha. They have an original 200-year-old Buddha. They have a Upakata chapel. They have a renunciation wall. And they have a beautiful Bodhi tree. It's just a fabulous, spiritual, powerful place. And one thing I need to mention is that it's really well maintained. I mean, it's clean, it's friendly, it's extremely inviting. So I just want you guys to see all this. We'll go in a short while. Thanks. I'm at the Dhammi Karama Theravada Burmese temple here in North Penang. Well, actually North Malaysia, which is Penang. And this temple was established in 1803 or 1803, and it's the largest Theravada Mahayana temple in Malaysia. Mahayana being that having the thought of benefiting others, wishing to reach enlightenment to benefiting others, will qualify as Mahayana. But actually, this is labeled as a Theravadan temple. Now, this was originally purchased for 390 Spanish dollars from George Layton in 1803. And on this land was built this beautiful temple. And the first abbot was the Venerable Nanda Mala. And currently, we are at the blessings of the 8th chief monk, which is from Burma. The temple has a main shrine, a prayer hall, has a dining hall, monk quarters, lodging, Sunday school classrooms, and a beautiful library. Also, they have a wonderful lecture hall. So if you can see clearly behind me, there's an 8.2 meter standing Shakyamuni Buddha, which is made of basically copper and 30% gold. And then behind this, which we'll visit in a few minutes, is beautiful Buddha images that have been invited over here, which was given as donations or as gifts by various Buddhist countries to this beautiful temple to commemorate the place. So therefore, we'll visit that in a short while. There are statues of Buddha from Thailand, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, even Afghanistan. So these Buddhas were donated to this temple from these various countries to commemorate this beautiful place. So you can see is a wonderful, very, very beautiful, very wonderful image. And I'm going to come up here. This is by far one of my most favorite Buddha statues in Malaysia. So as you can see, it's a very sacred, beautiful image, and the place is just maintained so well. The temple is pristine. The temple is very, very clean. And right over here, there's a little gift shop. So you can buy replicas of this beautiful Buddha if you're interested. And I'm sure the proceeds go towards the upkeep of this beautiful temple. And if we come around to the back, here are the Buddhas from the various countries that's been donated to this temple. And each Buddha looks slightly different because they are made in a particular cultural artwork of that country. So if we can take a look, very, very spectacular. This Buddha is donated from Bangladesh, as it says here. This Buddha is from Nepal, right here. This Buddha is from Pakistan. donated to this temple. This one's from Sri Lanka. This incredibly inspiring piece is from Burma, from Vietnam. And the Buddha here has very unusual hand mudras. Indonesia, Korea, China, Japan. So as you can see down the hall, there's the hall of Buddhas from various countries, and I think it's very beautifully set up. And for those of us who wish to get blessings of the Sangha members, then at the request, then the monks will sit here, and the laity can sit here to get blessings before they go on a trip, or to overcome a particular obstacle, or to fulfill a certain prayer. The monks will sit here to do prayers. So we can see the beautiful temple from this angle again. That's the entrance over there. Let's take a beautiful picture of the Buddha from the side, just to see the grandeur of it, the height. And I must stress, this place is very, very well maintained. Beautiful. All right, if we can point over there, that is the main temple, and you can see that's the entrance, and these mythical beings that are in the front guarding. And if you can look at the top of the structure, it's in typical, ornate, very beautiful Burmese architecture. And if we can move the camera over to this right here, you can see a beautiful stupa in the Burmese fashion, and where you can circumambulate. Now, to the right of the main temple is where I'm standing right now. And as you can see the doorway here, this is the mini shrine, and I suspect that this temple houses the original Buddha that was here before they built the big one. And we're going to go inside because I need you to look at the beauty, the calmness, the incredible placidity, and the incredible energy that this Buddha is exuding. And I'm not psychic or anything, but I can tell you, I can feel the peaceful, powerful, calm, gentle energy that this Buddha is exuding from here. And this statue is 200 years old. So it was brought, as I said, this temple was opened in 1800s, correct? So therefore, this was the original one, and it's just spectacular. Let's go inside and take a look. No shoes are allowed, out of respect. Beautiful offerings are made every single day. I'm just awed. I mean, I don't mean any disrespect, but I would love to have this Buddha in my personal shrine, in my personal home. The majesty, the grandeur, the simplicity, the incredible calmness, and the feeling of completely subduing all that is evil, all that is negative, is here. And I wanted to get a close-up of the Buddha's holy face. And it's just incredible, where the eyes is gazing down, because in meditation, we have a 7-point Vajrayana posture. And within those 7 points of meditation, one is that our eyes is fixated at the tip of our nose or in the space in front of us. The eyes should not look straight for distraction, and when we're doing meditation, the eyes should not be closed for fear of falling asleep. But the meditational gaze that we should engage in is looking directly in front of us, not straight and not closed. So this gaze is the gaze that Buddha recommended to us, which is the gaze he has represented in this beautiful image, where it's looking down at the tip or in front of him. Then his hand is in the hand of meditative equipoise, meaning he has achieved all there is to achieve in meditation. And he has achieved it through meditation, through meditational practice. Then his beautiful right hand, like a waterfall, gently caressing down a slope. His hand is in the victory over the Maras stance. So this one is touching the earth, telling the earth to witness that he has become a fully enlightened Buddha. He has become a fully enlightened being, and he is completely liberated from all suffering. So this mudra down here in his right hand is representative of freedom from samsara, witnessing that he is free from samsara, and everybody should notice or take note that a fully awakened Buddha has arisen today. So this is called the Bhumi Mudra, the mudra of the earth witnessing his enlightenment. So the second hand is equipoise. So this statue is very inspiring, has a lot of meaning, has a lot of beauty, if you can look at it here. So I really want all of you to have a close-up. I would like everyone to really have a close-up, very close-up of the face to see the beauty. And if we can take it from the bottom here, going up, it will be even more beautiful. And the background is painted, I guess, a representation of the time where Buddha was meditating in the Indian forests and jungles. Extremely inspiring. I'm going to make a candle offering to the Buddha. May all be well. May all have long life, health, prosperity. And more so than that, may all have spiritual prosperity, spiritual growth, spiritual attainments. May all of us and everyone who encounters and sees this holy image of the Buddha be blessed, be taken care of, and in birth after birth, rebirth after rebirth, always become your disciples and your students to teach, to speak, to practice, and to uphold the holy doctrine of Buddha. May we never be separated from Shakyamuni and all the 1,000 Buddhas of this aeon. Now at the Burmese temple here, what I used to come before, and a lot of people still do now, is you can circumambulate. Because inside the stupa, and there's little alcoves here to the Buddha, but inside the stupa, there are relics. Sometimes Buddha relics, or relics of high monks, holy monks, or very religious personages. So therefore, when it's placed inside a stupa, and one circumambulates, it is believed that one collects a tremendous amount of merit, especially associated with the body. The stupa of the Buddha represents the mind of the Buddha. The stupa represents the enlightened potential and enlightened result of a Buddha's mind. So when we circumambulate around a stupa, we are praying and wishing for purification of our negative karma, so that we may attain the Buddha mind as represented by the stupa. And the act of circumambulation is not a one tradition Buddhist kind of thing to do. It's pervasive in all forms of Buddhism. So when we circumambulate around something holy, the act of circumambulation is showing reverence and showing respect and showing and doing prayers. So when you're circumambulating, we shouldn't be gossiping or just simply talking. We can recite some sutras, we can recite some prayers that we have memorized, we can recite some mantras. And by circumambulating around in holy objects such as a stupa, we purify the negative karma that we have accumulated, especially associated with the body, speech, and mind, but more so the body. And when we purify that karma, we're able to achieve the Buddha body, the body of a Buddha. Of course, you don't have a Buddha body without a Buddha mind. Having a Buddha body means you have the Buddha mind. So therefore, we're going to circumambulate around this temple, and animals, people, spirits, form and formless beings, whoever they are, when they circumambulate around a holy image or a holy temple or a holy stupa, it has these kind of benefits that I have just described. We can recite our Guru's mantra. You can recite the refuge formula, Namo Guru Be, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. The most important thing is that when you're circumambulating, it is an act of veneration, an act of worship, and an act of respect towards the holy object that has been enshrined. Then, as we circumambulate, there's a beautiful Bodhi tree here. Many Theravadan temples, they get a sapling of the Bodhi tree and they plant it inside the temple grounds to let it grow. Why? This is the tree that Buddha sat under to become fully enlightened. So this tree has become kind of a trademark, or the poster boy, or the poster tree of Buddhism. So this is the type of tree that Buddha sat under when he became a fully enlightened being, when he overcame Mara, inner and outer evils. So this is a very beautiful tree that we circumambulate in remembrance of how Buddha became enlightened and how he had persevered to enlightenment. Now we're circumambulating around the Bodhi tree, and you can see around it there are beautiful Buddha images. If we can focus in on one of the Buddha images donated by various patrons and the faithful. And it's just so beautifully maintained. Now as we continue the circumambulation, we'll be entering one of the other halls of this beautiful premises. As you walk down the hallway, you will see beautiful, well-painted images of Lord Buddha's life. This one's in the case of Angulimala, the story of Angulimala. I used to come here very often and stare at the pictures and look at the pictures and really just be in awe. I like this one very much. Buddha's cousin, who was very jealous of Buddha's fame and Buddha's abilities, tried many ways to kill the Buddha or defame him or try to destroy his reputation. Of course, every attempt that Devadatta tried on Buddha failed. And there was one time where Buddha was going on his alms rounds with his monks, and Devadatta had gotten an elephant drunk and irritated the elephant, and as the Buddha came, set the elephant upon Buddha to crush Lord Buddha. And Buddha doesn't have any karma to be harmed. He doesn't have any traces of karma to be harmed. So therefore, when the elephant, wild and drunk and angry and irritated, came, when he came into the presence of the Buddha gently raised his hands and emitted the feeling of metta, or great bodhicitta, or great compassion. And when the elephant felt this energy from the Buddha, this love energy, this metta, the wish to harm no sentient beings, no matter how harmful they are, the elephant completely calmed down. So you can see in this depiction, the elephant quietly sitting near the Buddha, being blessed by the Buddha. The mind completely calmed down. So in this, what Buddha is teaching us is no matter how harmful another being or another situation is, if we show compassion and love, that is the best way to overcome their minds. So you can see these are very beautiful paintings. I have the book of the paintings, and when I put this video up, I will blog the pictures of this book so you can see what's going on. Buddha performing miracles, where some of his older relatives, royal relatives, who were very full of pride and arrogance, who would not listen to the Buddha's teachings or would not transform their minds, Buddha actually floated into the sky in front of them, with water coming out from the bottom and fire emitting from the top, showing the twin miracles here to subdue their pride. Afterwards, of course, they took refuge. So as we walk down this place, it's very quiet and it's very tranquil. It has a very good feeling here. This is one of my favorite pictures. one of my favorite paintings, Lord Buddha meditating under the Bodhi tree. This is where he became supremely attained and supremely enlightened. Now we're entering into another hall of this Burmese temple. We can buy candles, which I'm going to buy some candles now to offer up. This is the older hall. You can see beautiful Buddha images here. You can see the two main disciples, Shariputra and Mogdalaya. I'm going to make 3 candles here, offerings to the Buddha. Namo Guru Be, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Be, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya. Okay, we're going to go out here to the side area. And that's the main prayer hall. It's like 18 meters or whatever. We come here to separate. It's like we are now in the holy shrine of the Arhat Upagata. Upagata is a very famous and very respected and well-worshipped Arhat in the Buddhist country of Burma. And what happens with Upagata is he is an Arhat. He has achieved the attainment of not returning back to samsara. And he's holding his monk's bowl and he's looking up in the sky because in the Theravadan tradition of monks, they must eat before 12 o'clock. So of course during their time, they didn't have watches and clocks to look at. So they would look up at the noonday sun to see where the sun has hit in the sky in order that it is before 12, before midday, that they have their meal. So this temple, this shrine was originally created in 1870 and it was rebuilt in 1976 and again consecrated in 1978. And Upagata has very much a lot of blessings and a lot of powers to fulfill people's wishes, to overcome their problems, to exercise evil. And one particular trait is that he is able to grant people blessings that they do well in their exams. So last time when I used to visit Penang, during school exams, this area, this temple, this place would be packed and filled with so many school children, with their parents bringing them here with many, many times of beautiful pure offerings to offer to Lord Upagata here. And he is said to help the children to do very well in their exams. So therefore, this is one of my favorite chapels throughout Malaysia, and I used to come here many, many years ago to do worship and prayer and to circumambulate. As you can see here, maybe we can get a close-up shot of the Arhat Upagata. So this is a simple chapel, but full of meaning. Here we're making some offerings to Lord Upagata. After we make our prayers to Lord Upagata, then we walk around outside and circumambulate around his holy chapel in order to make an affinity and a connection to this holy being. I'm very happy to bring everyone here because this is one of the places I really, really love in Malaysia, and I used to visit quite often. And I wanted to bring your attention here to the great female Arhat, Khema, which is one of the first chief disciples of Lord Buddha. She was known for her great beauty and her great wisdom, and she has achieved full arhathood, which is liberation from samsara. So this is another great saint that we may direct our prayers to and to have confidence and faith. And of course, Arhat Khema is a fully ordained nun, hence her yellow robes and her shaved head. Now let's walk over to here. Where we are going to go to the great renunciation depiction of Lord Buddha. Okay, we are at the wall of great renunciation here in the temple. And if you look at the wall here, in the center is Lord Buddha riding on his horse, and his assistant in the back called Channa, helping him to cross the great Anoma River. And on the left are evil beings, Maras, and hordes and legions of Maras, who is telling Buddha not to go back, to return to the palace. You won't be successful. You won't find what you want to achieve. Go back to the palace. Then on the right of Lord Buddha, behind, are the Devas, or the celestial beings of good character, with great rejoicing and encouraging Buddha, holding up flames and telling Buddha, please go, please find renunciation, please enact what you came to earth for, to become a fully enlightened being. So this is a very, very beautiful depiction in 3D form. Wow. Look at Tsongkhapa. Tsongkhapa. I can't believe this. This is Tsongkhapa. Look, that's Tibet. Tsongkhapa's two disciples, Zambala. I can't believe this. Hey, Bangkri, look. Where's Malam? There, Zambala, Jerimchi, Potala. I can't believe Tsongkhapa's here. We are inside the Golden Pagoda Bell Tower, which was constructed in 2008 and completed in 2009 in the Burmese temple. And it's 108 feet tall, has many, many images of Buddha, which we'll see in a few minutes, and 6 statues of Kuan Yin. And they have beautiful on the ground floor, they have beautiful depictions of Buddha from various countries, carved in white marble. And as you can see, this is Buddha from Cambodia, Buddha from Laos, and if we can get the details, it's just absolutely very, very, very beautiful. Okay? Then if we move on over to here, we have Sri Lanka, the depictions of Buddha Sri Lanka and the Kandy temple. We visited here. This is the great Kandy temple, which I recognize. And also, this is the Buddhist monument from India, the plaque, and it has Bodh Gaya temple there. Stunning. And a plaque from Pakistan, plaque from Bangladesh. Wow, spectacular. And from Afghanistan, this is depicting the fasting Buddha, the Buddha on his 6-year fast for enlightenment. And from Nepal, and this is the famous Bodha Stupa in Swayambhunath. And here's the Buddha from Bhutan. You can see Bhutanese temples and Bhutanese stupas. And what's amazing is this is a plaque from Tibet, and what we have here in the center is Tsongkhapa. I mean, take a look at the details. Like, kind of caught me off guard because the last time I came here, I didn't see Tsongkhapa, but here he is. Tsongkhapa, Zambala, Potala, and Tsongkhapa and his two main disciples, Getsab Rinpoche and Khedru Rinpoche, with the Dharma wheel. So this is depicted here as Tsongkhapa in the bell tower. Let's go over here to see the other two plaques. Then we have a plaque from Burma and a plaque from Thailand. Very beautiful. Let's go upstairs. And this gifted plaque is from Mongolia. And wow, that's part of my heritage. And this is from Taiwan. Here's from China with Maitreya Buddha, or the Laughing Buddha, as is famously known, Shakyamuni and Kuan Yin. This one's from Hong Kong. And you can see in the background, the Lantau Buddha here is carved, which is very iconic in Hong Kong, which I hope to visit in the future again. Then we have the plaque from Indonesia. And behind you have the famous Borobudur Stupa, which I have visited a few times. The monument from Singapore with its iconic poster boy, the Merlion of Singapore. Then these are offered from the Buddhists of Vietnam, which Buddha looks very royal with the palace behind. And from Malaysia itself, a plaque. And let's go over here. And we have the last two plaques on this floor, which is the first floor. And it is from Burma, representing this particular premises. This is how this temple looked like. The Dhammi Karama Buddhist temple, Burmese Buddhist temple. This is what it looked like from 1803 to 1972. As I mentioned before, this temple was first built in 1803, so that's over 200 years old. And this is what the current premises looks like now. And it was rebuilt in 1973 up to current date, which says here 2010. So this is what it looked like before. This is what it looked like now. And we're standing right here. Right? So these are beautiful plaques. I am on top of the bell tower of the Burmese temple here in Penang. And it's very breezy and windy. And if you can look into temple grounds here, I'd like you to take a look. This was the one of the main temples here in the front. That was the older version. And then you have the newer version right behind it that stands the 8.02 meter Buddha. Then over there you see the entrance where all the trees are right before the pagoda. Then on the left side here, you can see the chapel of Upakata surrounded by a fish pond, koi fish pond. And then on my extreme right, you can see the residence of the monks. And this beautiful oasis of peace and tranquility and Buddhist teachings and Buddhist ideals is surrounded by modern day Penang with a lot of tall skyscrapers and buildings and mountains. Take a good look. The skyscape is very nice, very breezy, very windy. I recommend people to come here. Remember, the temple closes around 6, so I recommend you getting here a little earlier. Transportation should not be a problem at all.